Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video, we are going to be talking about items that everybody hates that I actually love. So this is a fun one. Next week, by the way, I'm doing items that everybody else loves that I hate. This one's always a little bit more positive. This is pointing out the things that I see all the time, people mentioning in design that they're over, they're done, they're tired, whatever. And you love these things. And so that's what I'm gonna talk about in this video because I don't care. And I'm gonna point out why I love them and maybe you'll love them too. Or maybe you won't, and that's cool too. So let's get into it. Okay, first of all, my list is Fluted Furniture. I have whiplash from this trend. You know, I mean, some people have been saying that like home decor trends are coming and going at a faster pace than they ever have. It's like we're taking the unfortunate inspiration from fast fashion in clothing and trends are coming just through thick and fast. And that's problematic for a lot of reasons from an environmental point of view and like an economic point of view. Everybody just swapping out stuff in their homes all the time because of the latest thing on Instagram, but whatever. The Fluted Furniture one, it was so in and then apparently out, like I'm gonna say within 6 months, which is bad. that's not, I don't know how else to describe it. It's bad. We should not be bringing in furniture in our home for such a short period of time. I don't know. The hate that this one gets online, people just are really super over it. Now listen, let's all be clear, because I know I'm gonna get the this is hard to clean police, which is a small but vocal member of my community here on the YouTubes. I hear you, like, this looks difficult to clean. Yes, and I appreciate you pointing out the impracticalness of these items. I do myself when I can, but like, you don't necessarily don't get something just because it's difficult to clean. Sometimes it is worth it to put in the extra legwork. Now, Fluted Furniture, let's be clear, it is hard to clean. It is annoying because you've got all those little tiny little divots that you got to get in there and it's just gonna be dusty and whatever, and if people get their little grimy hands in there, then you just have to like go in and wipe it all down, and it's kind of annoying to have to dust and whatever. But as I said, does it mean that it's completely, we should dismiss it out of hand? Maybe, depends on who you are. I actually like the Fluted Furniture. I still think that it's really fun. I think it's a detail that has been around for a very long time. I get that on Instagram, it's only been around for 2 years, but I do think that it is really fun. I love a fluted coffee table. I like fluted legs on things. I like reeded furniture, which is different. It's the concave, it's the one that goes like this. Anyway, the reeded furniture, fluted furniture, I love it all. I think it's really fun. I think it's just a nice, interesting detail. You don't just have to do it on wood, although you usually see it on woodwork, but you can definitely see it in stone. You can see it on gorgeous fireplaces. I overall like this look. I know a lot of people don't like it online and they're saying that this trend quickly came and went super fast and now it's dated. I don't believe them, and I also don't care because I still think that it's really beautiful. So I don't know, I think it's fun. I think it's a nice little quirky little detail that you can put on something rather than just going with kind of straight clean lines. You can go with something that's a little bit different. You can add a little bit more detail just in your carpentry or in your stonework or something that I think is really fun and awesome. So I think this is one that I hope stays around, and I know that a lot of people hate it, but I'm not apologizing. I love it still. Okay, next up on my list is gonna be open staircases. A lot of people hate these really modern staircases where they look like a hazard that someone's gonna fall through it, which like, I guess there's potentially some safety risks, especially with like, I don't know, a 9-year-old could go through the slats, but like, come on, your 9-year-old shouldn't be going through the slats. Like, that's a little bit of a, like, I don't want, this is how you get canceled, because I'm gonna say it's survival of the fittest, and everyone's gonna go, you can't say that about a 9-year-old. Anyway, I'm saying it. If your 9-year-old is flying through that staircase, you got bigger problems, is all I'm gonna say. That's how you get canceled in 2023, but I'll risk it, I don't care. Listen, these staircases are beautiful, and I don't really care that they're maybe a little bit impractical and potentially pose a safety risk. Obviously, you do you, put in the staircase that's gonna work for you and your family, blah, 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 blah. But I still think these are great. I think they're beautiful. I think they're really modern. I think they're really fresh. They're very minimal, and I like that. I mean, obviously I love all sorts of different staircases too. That's not the only one that I love, but I think these are super fun, and I think they're great. And they might not be to code, depending on where you live. But you know, assuming you can put one in and you're going for a really sort of contemporary looking space, then I think this is a really cool staircase to consider. I like the mono stringer. I like the dual. I think they're all really super cool. Are they impractical? Probably, you know, potentially a safety risk, of course, but assuming you've got that figured out, do your due diligence. I think they're beautiful. And even though some people hate on them because I don't know why they hate them actually, I guess because they're just too modern for some people. And I totally understand. If it's not your style, it's not your style. That's fair enough. And then there's the safety aspect, which has some people concerned. I'm not one of them. So I still think they're great. So I love these. Okay, next up on my list. This one's a little bit more controversial because I'm going to say, do I love this? No, but I still think it's a really great material, and that is granite. People hate on granite because they think it's too speckly and it's too busy and it's too dated, and it very much feels early 2000s, especially in something like a Tuscan kitchen or something. Are they wrong? No. Obviously, granite was very, very popular because it fit with the style of the time. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that granite is a natural stone. It's been in nature for a very long time. It is still gorgeous and beautiful in its own way. It might not be your style, and it might not fit into every style. It fits usually into more of a traditional style, which is not super me, but I still appreciate it because it's real and it comes from the earth. And so I think that people hating on it and saying that it's super dated and it's so tired and it needs to go, and people ripping out their old granite from 15 years ago, are just dismissing granite out of hand even now in 2023, saying they would never put in granite countertops because it just looks so dated. First of all, you know, I understand it might not fit your style, and it might fit a style that isn't popular right now, but you know, everything comes back again. And so just because you think that granite is dated now doesn't mean that in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, it's not gonna be super hot again. I will say, I think it will probably come back in a different way. I think we'll probably see a lot of honed granite as opposed to the highly polished stuff we saw in the 2000s. And like always, it's going to be mixed into more contemporary design as we move forward in the future. So I don't think we should completely write off granite, because I think granite is it's also like a really hard stone that resists etching and staining, sometimes better than things like really porous marble or some of the soft marbles would. So it's very practical, I think, to put in people's kitchens. But I would argue that it feels dated because it's oftentimes paired with dated cabinetry, dated profiles on the side of the countertops, other dated features that you maybe saw in a 2003 kitchen. You know, like if you got the big Tuscan hood fan and the facade of Tuscany in the background, then yeah, your granite countertops are gonna look a little dated. But there's ways that you can bring in these natural materials back again in new and fresh ways, and they'll still look great. I can't believe I'm sitting here singing the praises of granite, because I will say that I'm a marble man myself, but I will say it's a natural material and it's gorgeous and in its own way, and I wouldn't completely dismiss it. I would just say it's not my favorite of stones. I probably wouldn't put it in my own kitchen, but I'm gonna defend it because I still think that it is awesome and I love it, like it, while other people seem to just hate on it continuously, and I don't think that's warranted. Okay, next up is brass. I love brass. And this one I love. You know, I really, really, really love brass. People have said that brass is coming and going for about a decade now. I saw someone on YouTube the other day were like, oh, brass came in 2016. And I'm like, no, brass was popular before that. Like, brass has been popular for a while and it comes and goes like all the metal things, right? So now people are saying satin nickel's the new fresh one and like it's super cool, and like whatever, 5 years ago, everybody thought that it was super dated. You know, sometimes with the metals you can't win. And I just think in the end, what's more important is that you sort of match it to sort of the mood of your space, and especially the color that you're looking for, in terms of, are you looking for something a little bit more on the warmer side, a little bit more on the cooler side. Brass to me is always going to be, maybe you could argue bronze, but I'm still gonna go with brass, is always going to be sort of that warm metal of choice. So, you know, you've got satin nickel and you've got chrome that are very silvery, sort of bluish silvery. That's gonna be a little bit more of the cooler tone metal. You've got the matte black, which sits somewhere, of course, in the middle. And then you've got the bronzes and the brass and the rose golds and all those guys sitting a little bit more on the warmer side. And I think brass is always a beautiful, warm material that is timeless. It is gorgeous, it is amazing. I love brass. And a lot of people are saying that they're over brass and they're sick of it. Fine, I get that it might come and go in popularity, and that's fine. Some people are hating on it a little bit too much, and I'm gonna defend it and still say that brass is awesome. And I will probably always love brass because I loved it 10, 15 years ago, so I'm still loving it now, and I probably will another 10, 15. So I do not apologize, I still love the brass. Okay, and next up on my list is going to be minimalism. People are hating on the minimalism because it's all about the maximalism now, which I don't really love. Is that gonna make my list next week? We'll find out. Yeah, so minimalism. I would say I wouldn't consider myself necessarily to be a minimalist in like the strict definition. I also don't think we need to just go minimalist versus maximalist. It's really a kind of a continuum, right? So on the scale of 1 to 10, 1 being an extreme minimalist, 10 being a crazy cacophony of maximalism, I would probably say I'd like to think I'm a 3, but I'm probably more of a 4, maybe a 5 actually. But I like minimalism. I just love big, beautiful, open spaces or closed spaces that are just very intentional with what's there, right? The stuff that's there is there because you chose for it to be there, and it's just very intentional and it's very edited, and I love spaces like that. Those are the ones that I typically gravitate towards. I just love minimalism. I know everybody's like, but I want to, you know, feel like a real person lives there, and I go, no, I want to feel like it. I want my place ideally to look like a show home. I don't live that way because, again, I like to think I'm a 3, but I'm more of a 4 or 5, but I like that goal. I find that really calming for me. I find if there's too much stuff, my attention's just kind of all over the place, and I don't really like that. So maximalism is not for me. Minimalism, I know the pendulum is swinging and it's going into the maximal direction, but I'm here to say that I still like the minimalism and I'm still gonna stick with it. Again, I don't necessarily live that way, and I think if you're an extreme minimalist, where you know, you got like a wooden crate for a coffee table and like a block of wood for a couch, that's a bit much for me. That's taking it too far, because I do think that stuff has a place in your home, but I do like the idea of being a little bit more edited and a little bit more particular on what you sort of bring into the home. So minimalism might be out, but I still love it. Okay, and the next up on my list is gonna be stainless steel appliances, because everybody seems to hate stainless steel appliances, and I really like them. Like, I don't know what everybody's alternative is. Like, where do you all think this is going? Like, you know, are we gonna go back to the white fridge? I don't really think we will. I love paneled appliances if I can get away with it. If you have the budget to do so, I highly encourage you to consider paneled appliances, because I think if you can panel it, I would panel it. Like, that's me. Like, if, again, budget permitting. But ideally, that's where I would want to take that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with stainless. I feel like people hate stainless so much. And again, I know I said earlier I love brass, and I know stainless is kind of a cooler metal. But I think I did that tour with Karen Bond before, and I think she said it best. She was like, we're so used to stainless steel appliances at this point that it kind of reads as a neutral. It doesn't really necessarily stand out, I think, to most people, and I would include myself in that. I think that they feel really polished. They don't feel super, sometimes, you know, a lot of the ones can feel really industrial and lots of different knobs and things like that, and I'm not a really big fan of that. But I would say that I really like stainless. I think that's a great option for most people. I know that there's some new ones that are coming out that are a little bit more of like a gunmetal finish, so a little bit darker, a little bit kind of mixing between stainless and black, which I think is super cool. But I don't think we're gonna go back to the days of the big white fridge in the middle of the room. I don't think that's really where this is headed. You know, that was kind of where things were before stainless sort of took over. I don't see us going back there. I think stainless is great. I think, you know, am I open-minded to new options? For sure. But I don't hate stainless. I actually quite like it. And I don't know why everybody hates it so much, but people do. People hate on the stainless, and I don't really get it, to be honest. Okay, that's it for me for today, you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. So let me know in the comments what items you really love that other people seem to hate on. I would love to hear about it. And don't forget, next week, I am doing the items that I hate that other people love. And if that video is live, I'm gonna link it right here. And if not, just go ahead and subscribe and check out that video next week. So I'll see you all in that video. Thanks a lot. Bye.